You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Today is Tuesday. Feels like a Monday, but it's Tuesday. 17th day of January, 2023. Hope you had a great extended weekend. I know some of you had yesterday off and others didn't. Markets were open a half a day, but we just chose to take the whole day off because you look like you could use some rest. So, I hope it was beneficial. Thanks so much for joining us today. No matter who you are or where you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is reserved for members only and those who are taking the 1-week free trial. That's our live training room, and it runs from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. At 11:30 a.m. we take a 30-minute break. We come back at 12 noon Eastern for the afternoon broadcast, which is a different format. The afternoon broadcast is open to the public. That's anybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet connection. All you need is a device, phone, tablet, PC, Mac. We're not picky. Now, there's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast. One gives you access to the question box so you can ask questions, participate in the discussion. The other doesn't. So let me give you the better way first. And the good news is you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down to where it says afternoon broadcast. Click the link. Complete the 30-second registration form. And then every trading day going forward, you'll get an email about an hour before the broadcast starts. Now, at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link that's in the email you received. It will automatically log you into our platform, and you'll have access to the question box so that you can, in fact, ask questions and be a part of the discussion. Now, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, running errands, or even at your day job, but you still want to join the afternoon broadcast live. Piece of cake. Simply take your internet connected device, whatever it is, and point it over to our YouTube channel, which is very easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live each and every day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive every daily broadcast. Currently there's over 2,100 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And for those who are new to the world of CFRN, it's a great way to get to know not just who we are today, but who were we 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. Now, we certainly don't expect you to listen to every 2-hour broadcast, but just scroll back, pick days at random. Fast forward to the part where Michael's doing the recap of the live training room, and then fast forward on to the part where I'm doing the recap of the Logic 247 alerts and the Concierge Trade alerts. What you'll see is a thread of connectivity, a thread of continuity woven through each and every daily broadcast. So, without me telling you, well, we're the same people today we've always been. I want you to go take the journey and find out for yourself. Were we different people 2 years ago? Did we believe different things? Did our trading strategy operate on different underlying principles than it does today? See, I can say anything today, but you have a chance to go and see what I was saying 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, even more. Okay? youtube.com/CFRN. Now, if you go to the YouTube page while we're broadcasting live, it will be right there. It'll say live broadcast. And if you've logged in through our platform and the audio drops at any point during the broadcast, simply point your browser to youtube.com/CFRN and you'll pick up right where you left off with pristine audio. So with all that said, so with the word of prayer. Now, for the past week, we've been talking about passing it on. Passing what on? Well, the good news. Our scripture today, Acts 16, verses 1 through 10. And I'll read from the Message translation. Paul came first to Derbe, then Lystra. He found a disciple there by the name of Timothy, son of a devout Jewish mother and Greek father. Friends in Lystra and Iconium all said what a fine young man he was. Paul wanted to recruit him for their mission, but first took him aside and circumcised him so he wouldn't offend the Jews who lived in those parts. They all knew that his father was Greek. As they traveled from town to town, they presented the simple guidelines the Jerusalem apostles and leaders had come up with. They turned out to be most helpful. Day after day, the congregations became stronger in faith and larger in size. They went to Phrygia and then on through the region of Galatia. Their plan was to turn west into Asia province, but the Holy Spirit blocked that route. So they went to Mysia and tried to go north to Bithynia, but the Spirit of Jesus wouldn't let them go there either. Proceeding on through Mysia, they went down to the seaport Troas. That night, Paul had a dream. A Macedonian stood on the far shore and called across the sea, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." That dream gave Paul his map. When he went to work at once, getting things ready to cross over to Macedonia, all the pieces had come together. We knew now for sure that God had called us to preach the good news to the Europeans. That's how Paul ended up passing it on, the good news, throughout Europe. Now, I got a question for you. Have you ever gone on a road trip? If you have, and I'm sure you have at some point, you know there's something memorable about piling in the car with your friends or family, pressing play on your favorite playlist, and digging into some snacks. The adventure and memories made along the way are just as much a part of the experience as the destination itself. Did you know that in a similar way, we are called to share Jesus with others along the way? When we discover the love of God, we have an opportunity to share it wherever our lives takes us. Whether you're at home, school, or on vacation, you can freely share that love. We're not meant to just hold on until heaven someday. God wants us to invite as many as we can on this amazing road trip of faiths. Think of one person that you can bring along with you on this road trip and ask God to help you share your story with them. Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gospel of your Son, Jesus Christ, the good news. Help us to not fall prey to the gospel of the flesh or any gospel other than Christ. Lord, also empower us to share the good news wherever we go, everywhere we go. It's in Jesus' name that we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. All right, let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is down 349 points. The NASDAQ is down 4. S&P 500 is down 5.5. The Russell 2000 down 4.5. So the only mover and shaker there would be the Dow, down 349 points. That's a little over 1%. Everything else is still sort of a hangover from the quiet sideways holiday trade from yesterday's half session. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 43 cents, trading 80.29 last. Gold down $6.80, trading 19.14.90 last. Silver down 23 cents, trading 24.14 last. And for silver, that's a drop of almost 1%. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei up 316 points, 1.25%. Shanghai down just 3 points. The Hang Seng down 169. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 9, DAX up 53, the CAC up 33. So that gives us a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. And so far, it is a red Radio Tuesday here in the US of A. Again, the Dow is the only one deeply mired in the red. The other three major indices are barely in the red. So there's some definite indecision in the markets right now. Institutional traders are just coming back from a long weekend, and things will seem more like normal probably by the London Open tomorrow morning. Even we may see some institutional buying and selling as the Asian session opens tonight. And of course, we still have the rest of the trading day today. The futures market does not close until 5 p.m. Eastern. Stocks close at 4 p.m. Eastern. And even though futures close at 5 p.m. Eastern, they will reopen 1 hour later at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that will be the beginning of the Wednesday session, even though it's still Tuesday night here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael if he's ready. Get a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live trading room. After that, I'll be back. We'll cover the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and at any point during the broadcast, if you have a question, all you got to do is type it in the question box. Michael, take it away. I guess Michael's not ready. Okay. Well, since he's not ready, we'll do this.
No, I'm here. Oh, okay. I'm here. Sorry.
It's okay.
Here I am. Let me bring it over here to me. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okie doke.
All right.
Take it away.
Got it. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 17th day of January, 2023. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to, then go here to mytradingiq.com. Right here, it says sign up for your free 5-day training now, 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. Click on that. Click on that. Okay, when you do, you're going to be brought to this page. Fill out this form right here. Just ask for a little bit of information. Fill out that form and you'll be sent a link and a password to get into the room in the morning. That's really all you have to do to get into the room. Now, what you should be doing though, if you're going to take the trial, what you should do is go here to your trading platform. Okay, trading platforms, download whatever trading platform you have. Make sure you get it on your desktop. You're going to want to have that for the duration of your trial. Okay, whichever one you have. If you don't have one of these, I use DT Pro. You can download that one. That's pretty easy. Trading platform is easy for us to set up. If you're going to do the Ninja Trader, there's a little more to it. You know, from if you're brand new to it, there's a little more to setting up Ninja Trader than the others, but I use this one. Okay. You should also take a look at the trade rules right here and watch some of these videos. These videos show what I've done, things that I've done in the past year, and just going through the trades in the past year. Okay. Well, not every trade, just a couple of snippets from the past year. Now the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 17th day of January, 2023. Made 2 ticks in crude, 0 ticks in gold, 28 ticks on the ES. I put us at 370 on the morning session. Okay. Today it took 1 minute and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $100 a contract, and we took a total of 8 trades this morning. So on the month now, that puts us at $4,160 a contract. That's over 10 trading days, averaging $416 per contract per 2-hour trading day. All right. So we've gotten our goal for the day on 10 out of 10 days so far this year, and now we got the goal every day last year, and we got the last year was 246 out of 246 days. So right now we're 10 out of 10 days, and yeah, I'm gonna do this equals this close to 46. 612. That doesn't work out right. Okay, well, 10 out of 10 days. 10 out of 10 days. Anyway, this stuff down here, I can't really get into that. I didn't fix that yet. I still have a couple more weeks to get that right. But so far, we worked 81 minutes so far this month, getting our goal. And during those 81 minutes, we managed to earn $1,230 if we quit trading when we got the goal for the day. 81 minutes, quit trading when we got the goal for the day, $1,230 a contract. So far, we've had 10 days. So at 120 minutes a day, we've traded an actual 1,200 minutes in the room this month so far, and made $4,160. And so in 81 minutes, we made $1,230. So it's not necessarily the more you trade, the more you make. Okay, you can see that right here. This is why we want you to quit trading when you get the goal for the day. All right, so let's get into the actual trades then, okay? Let me get the question box out. Let's see if you have any questions. Lewis, did we have a meeting scheduled this week sometime? I'm trying to remember if we did or didn't. Anyway, all right, so the trades. Let's minimize this and we'll get into them. Here on gold, we didn't have much happening on gold or on crude oil today. On gold, we just took one trade right here and it was a break-even trade. Gold was just a horrible mess today. We had this break even. There was a blue off a blue here and then another blue off a blue here. We missed the first one. We took the second one for a break even. And then it just didn't give anything. It got down here and look at this sideways garbage right here. And this was from 10:20 all the way the whole last hour of the morning session to 11:20. Gave nothing. It's made one more move right here, kind of like this one. So it's probably going to try to move down. Now this morning, when it started moving, I was thinking it was going to get back down to the BBC this morning. When the morning session started right in here on this bar. I thought it was going to work its way down to the BBC, and then I didn't know what it was going to do. I figured it was probably going to bounce back up 50% of the way. And it did do that. It bounced back up 50% of the way, and now I really don't know what it's going to do. It looks like it's probably going to move down. The next level down that it should get to would be right about here at 1909. Let me remove that from before and this from before. But overall, what I think, judging by the day's movement so far, is probably going to pull back up and test the BBC ribbon here. It's going to go down some more. I would think probably down to right about here. Here. This is what I mean. It's probably going to go down to about right in this range right here. Right in there, looking left. Okay, right in this range right here. And then probably bounce back up. Probably up to here in this range. And then, judging by the way things are acting, it'll probably end down here in this range. That's just what it looks like to me right now. That's the big picture stuff. I mean, of course, I'm just going to trade what's in front of me on the smaller time frame, but that's what it looks like to me. Okay, good, Lewis. Then I didn't miss anything. Okay. Let's see. In here now, we had. This is crude oil. We had one break-even trade here at the beginning, and I ended up with a break-even on that. I was thinking it was going to run up to there and then come back. It didn't make it up there. It just started coming back right away. Turned around in here. Once we got down below this level right here, I was looking to start shorting. So there was a red off a red right there. I took a couple of ticks on that red off a red. I missed the second one in here. This was all I was talking in here. So I was trading from right here all the way over to right here. So I missed all of that move down. But during that move down, there was a red off a red right there. Right in here, there was a trend line trade. In here, there was a trend line trade, and that was it. During the break, you had a blue off a blue right here. Once you change your context by getting up above this level. You had a blue off a blue right in there, then another blue off a blue right there. That one looks like it might have stopped you out to the tick and then moved up. And it kept the context, so you had another blue off a blue right over here that went about 6 or 8 ticks. And that was it for the crude oil. We ended up with just +2 on crude. Now the ES. Well, first, let me look at the crude on the bigger picture for you. All right, I was looking for it to get down into here. I had highlighted this area this morning. I was saying by the time it gets down here, and that bar was this bar right up here. It was this bar right here. And if you remember, I highlighted this here and I said I think it's probably going to get down to here. By that time, the BBC will be in there at the same time. It'll probably get down there and hit that area, and then probably bounce back. And I'm thinking that the bounce back should go to right about here. Okay, bounce back should probably go up to there, and then it's going to have to decide then if it's going to go up to the high or down to the low, or down to the BBC again. That's what it looks like on crude to me. Okay, so it's really undecided. The ES, now, here we go. On the ES, right in here was our first trade. This isn't the pre-market. We have 8 ticks on this. I was originally thinking it was going to go there, and then it started popping up some more numbers. So it was here, here, and here as it was going. We grabbed 8 ticks on this, 4 ticks on that, and 4 ticks over here. We missed a trade right in here, and right here, we took a break even. We got into the training part of it right through here, and actually right in here is where we got into the training part of it. Now it had gone sideways right here, and I didn't know what it was going to do. There was no trade set up for it here, but it looked like it was going to do a cycle reset for us and move up and drag the cycle up, which it did do, but it didn't really give a big leg up. It gave a little leg up and dragged the cycle up, which would have given you one long trade right here, because the context in here was still up, and it was going to have to close below this level to move the context to down. Okay, so it was still up all through this garbage right here, all through this consolidation, this sideways movement. So you could still take long trades that triggered, and there was one right there. And then over here, it dropped back down through the BBC and took everything down with it. There was a red off a red here. If you weren't interested in the context, there was a red off a red there. But if you're just waiting for the context to be right and then take the trades, you would have waited for this trade, this trade, this trade, and this trade on that move down. Now that all happened while I was talking, while I was training this morning, so I didn't really do anything with it. Then it got sideways again, all the way over to here. I was still doing the whole training thing, all the way to here. I really didn't have much time. Because we have a short week this week, I had to cram 2 days into one today, so I spent a little extra time this morning with the training part of it. So we ended up not taking another trade on crude. We ended with just those 2 ticks. Oh, no, sorry, this is the ES. Oops. So on the ES, we had this trade here we took 8 ticks on. This trade we took 4 ticks on. So at that point, we're at plus 12. This trade here we took 4 more ticks that put us at plus 16. And we had a break even there. Then we took, we went from plus 16 to plus 28. So we had 12 ticks right there and then another break even. And then we didn't take any more trades on the ES. Okay, but there were some that set up in here. During the break, there weren't any red off of reds or blue off of blues, but in here you would want to wait till the context changed to up. Okay, because you were in a bearish context here. We don't have to wait till it changed to up to start looking for long trades, and there was really nothing you could do all through here. Really nothing you could do. And then you want to change to down, which would have been right here. So right in here would have been your first opportunity to short right here. Right? None of these actually hit the BBC, so you could have shorted right there. And you could have taken some profit on that and shorted again just now. Okay, you could short right here. And what you'd anticipate on this is it's not really giving up too much right here, but I would think 4,006 on the downside. All right, now as I say 4,006, I pulled that off the DOM. 4,006 is right here, and I look left. You see right here where the MA1 and the BBC crossed? Not the MA1 and the BBC. Well, yeah, I guess that is. We had the crossover right here, the MA1 and the BBC crossover. That's a significant area. Okay, and that happens to be right there where the DOM is showing it. That's something, if you guys don't know that, especially on larger time frames, these areas where the MA1 and the BBC cross are usually significant areas, and price is usually going to retest those areas. Okay, but anyway, looking left, this is one significant area, and the DOM agrees with that. This is the next significant area, looking left. Now that trade just stopped out, but that doesn't count toward the morning session. Looking at this on a larger time frame, it's all bunched up right here. Now I had said, I don't know if I said it just now or if I said it in the morning session, that I think it had a decision to make here. We thought after it moved up this morning, I thought it was going to pull back down to the BBC. And then once it hit the midpoint here, I thought it was going to hit the midpoint and then pull back down to the BBC and then go back up to the midpoint. And then I wasn't sure what it was going to do. And it started going through it. I thought it was going to get up to the zone above, didn't quite make it. Then I was looking for it to get back down here. It went through it. I was looking for it to get back down to the BBC. Went through that down to the zone right down below. Now it did all that in that last half-hour candle from the morning session. So this is all break stuff here and what we're talking about right now. It's all consolidating right here on top of the BBC. So it's really undecided right now, and it's a good time to not really do much at all. Here, I want to bring this up and show you this. Just a real quick view. I mean, those of you guys who have been following along know that I've been doing a lot of stuff with this. That's not the sidebar PP that I want, it's the context that I want. Here, this one. What I've done is created a longer term context. That's what this is, the longer term context surrounded by the white line in this case. And within that, you have the BBC, the ribbon, you have the bars, and you have the shorter term context. Okay. So in here, if the ribbon is in the red in the short term context and the long term context, then any bounce off the BBC ribbon should be a good trade. All right, that's for the shorts, and for the longs, the opposite way. Okay. All right. Well, that's it for all of that stuff. Now, let me go back here. Okay. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 17th day of January, 2023. Made 2 ticks in crude, 0 ticks in gold, and 28 ticks on the ES. Today took 1 minute and 1 trade to get to the goal for the day. At that point, I was up $100 a contract, and I took a total of 8 trades this morning. So on the month, that puts us at $4,160. That's over 10 trading days, averaging $416 per contract per 2-hour trading day. If you were to quit trading when you got your goal for the day, so far this year, you would have only had to work 81 minutes, and you'd be at $1,230 a contract. Right? That's the gross number. The net number with an $8 commission would be $1,030. With a $5 commission would be $1,105. That's for one contract working 81 minutes so far this year. So it's like an hour and a half. So you'd be making whatever that is. 1,230 divided by 1.5 per hour. All right. So to take our free trial, where is that thing? Here it is. To take our free trial, go here to the home page at mytradingiq.com. And right here it says sign up for your free 5-day training now at 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. Click on that and be brought to this page. Fill out this little form and you'll be sent a link to get into, actually not that page, this page. Fill out this little form, you'll be sent a link to get into the morning session, all right, for 5 consecutive business days. So anybody that signed on over the weekend or today, you get the extra day next week, okay, because it's only 4 business days this week. All right. So with that, I believe I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in the Studio A overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
I'm ready.
Excellent.
Recap of the recap.
1 minute, 1 trade, $100 a contract.
Good job.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. We have 2 hours of live training every day. That's what Michael just covered with you. But CFRN operates around the clock. From the moment the markets open, Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, when there's a non-holiday week. Actually, we did put out alerts Sunday night because the holiday that we were celebrating, MLK, that's a U.S. thing. So global markets are still operating. So when there's a Monday holiday, the weekly trading zones come out on Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On a typical week, the weekly trading zones come out Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Now, Logic 247 is not just the E-minis. It also includes crude, gold, silver, euro, and the bonds. This recap is correct up to 7 a.m. Eastern this morning. Valerie will update the recap late this afternoon, and then she will recap it a third time late this evening. So alerts flow as opportunity presents themselves, but we update and recap 3 times a day. Early morning, late afternoon, and then late evening. Since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 20 alerts. 1 never triggered. Still waiting on the outcome of 11. We had 8 actionable alerts, of which 2, or 25%, would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade, less when possible, based on market structure, in a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders in their unlimited one-on-one mentoring sessions. Over the last 233 weeks, we've issued over 13,200 individual handcrafted alerts. Every one of them is a trend trade as defined by the 30-minute chart, price, and the BBC. Over the last 233 weeks, we've averaged 20% or less getting stopped out based on that risk profile I just explained to you. So this week, holiday week, not unusual. We're a little bit above that 20% average, but we'll see what happens the rest of today, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 233 weeks, over 13,200 individual alerts. Now the alerts can come out at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. because the futures markets trade around the clock. There's a 1-hour break each day from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. as I explained. But with futures trading around the clock and we having traders around the globe, our day session is their night session and vice versa. We make sure that everybody's taken care of. So not only is Michael teaching you the strategy and the trade setup 2 hours each day, live in real time, there are alerts coming out, actual trades with your entry, with your initial target, with your second target, your third target, your final trade to target. Sometimes there might be as many as 5 targets, okay? And that's all based on market structure, which as a passport holder, you will be taught how to read the chart and how to understand market structure. Along with the Logic 247 alerts, which are based on current price action. Now, when I say they're based on current price action, keep in mind that there's time built into every alert for you to not only receive the alert via the Telegram channel, but there's time for you to study the alert and study the 30-minute chart so that the alert makes sense. Everything I do is based on logic, okay? They aren't just random numbers thrown up to see what might happen. There's a reason behind the entry. There's a reason behind the initial target. And any additional targets, there's a reason for each and every one of them. So, can you just trade the alerts and make money? Sure. But that's a poor decision. You've paid to learn how to trade. So, you can just piggyback the alerts if you want, or you can try to keep up with Michael in the room if you want, or you can actually learn how to trade. So the alerts are designed as a training aid because we want you to become self-sufficient. We want you to get to the point where you no longer need, for the rest of your life, anyone to tell you when to get in, when to get out of the market. The chart will tell you when to get in and when to get out. You simply have to learn how to read the chart. And our passport holders have access to unlimited one-on-one private mentoring. The strategy and the indicators are fluid across all markets and all time frames, not just the futures markets, stocks, crypto, forex. Our indicators and strategy flow seamlessly across every market and every time frame. Price flows the same, from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. Whether you're talking about the S&P Emini, or Walmart, or Amazon, or Bitcoin, or the British pound. As you flow seamlessly from market to market, you don't have to change any rules. You don't have to adjust any settings on your indicators. Why? Because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. Along with the Logic 247 alerts, we still have our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now, because some people couldn't seem to embrace target first, entry second, I've actually changed the way I post the CTA numbers. You'll have two numbers for each market. This is a static report. This doesn't come out around the clock. Once published, these numbers are good for the entire session. Just like the weekly trading zones, once published, are good for the entire week. They do not change. We've published the weekly zone since December 14th of 2009. So we have over 13 years of data that tells us exactly how price behaves around a weekly trading zone. And since December 14th of 2009, the only thing that's changed about the weekly trading zones is absolutely nothing. Once you understand how price behaves when it approaches a zone, either from above or below, they will become one of the most important tools in your trading toolbox. And when you become a lifetime member, you pay once, you're a member for life. There's no upsells, there's no new shiny objects to buy. Once you become a passport holder, you'll have everything a trader needs, all under one roof at one low price. You'll never have to spend another dime on trading stuff. I mean, you can, but if you will simply pay attention to all of the resources that are at your disposal once you become a passport holder, when those clever emails show up in your inbox, or you stumble across a web page with clever ad copy, instead of your pulse racing, oh my gosh, I finally found the Holy Grail, instead of whipping out your credit card, you'll chuckle and move on, because you already know it's nonsense. I'm just making sure you know by telling you. All you need to do is learn how to trade. All the indicators, oscillators, and algorithms in the world are not going to help you unless you learn how to trade. Why do the markets seem so complicated? Because that's a cash cow. The more complicated the markets are made, the more stuff people can sell you. So we take the opposite approach. We have one thing, a passport. You're a member for life with no recurring fees. Access to unlimited one-on-one mentoring and around-the-clock support. It's everything you need. And when we say unlimited one-on-one mentoring sessions, that's what we mean, unlimited. I had a mentoring session, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday. We always work with you because some of you still have day jobs. You've not become full-time traders yet. So we understand that. And we'll work with you on when you have time available. You got 2 hours in the room. You have 2 hours in the afternoon. You have 2 hours every Thursday night in the members only workshop. But anything that you can't get squared away during all that time, plus the around-the-clock support via Telegram, you can book as many mentoring sessions as you want so that we can answer every question you have. When this report is published, we cover all the same markets with the CTAs as we do with Logic 247, and the two work hand in hand. The CTAs are based on historic price action. The Logic's based on current price action. When current price action meets historic price action, that's where you'll find some of your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. This report is published shortly after the Globex Open, so last night it was 6:15 p.m. Eastern. Now, what you want to do, again, we cover all these different markets: bonds, euro, silver, gold, NQ, crude, Russell, Dow, ES. Chances are you don't trade all those markets. So only focus on the markets that you trade. And if you're brand new, you should just focus on one, maybe two markets until you learn the strategy. Because we're not teaching you how to trade a specific market. We're teaching you how to trade. Once you know how to trade, you can trade anything. Instead of spending hours waiting for the market that you like to trade to present you with a high probability, low risk trade setup, you can just flip through the markets until you find a market that's giving you that high probability, low risk opportunity right now, and then just trade it. We trade every market exactly the same. Every futures market, every stock, every crypto, every Forex pair. So when this report is posted in the CTA channel, if you're on the trial, it will be posted in the trial channel at the exact same time. There's two numbers. What you want to do on your 30-minute chart is you want to make a note of where price is at this time, right here. It's always going to be between these two numbers. If price on the 30-minute chart gets above the BBC and starts trending higher, then our strategy is going to look for opportunities to be long the market. On the other hand, if price gets below the 30-minute BBC and starts trending lower, then our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you're going to use Logic 247 and everything you learn in the live training room every single day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market. Always remember, our goal for you is to become self-sufficient. I would hope that would be your goal for yourself. Spending the rest of your life dependent upon somebody to tell you when to get in and when to get out, well, that's not really a good idea. What happens when that person goes away? What happens when that person goes on a bad run? I hope you're following me here. You're being given the training and the tools to identify windows of opportunity in the market. And every morning for 2 hours, Michael is teaching you how to use a smaller time frame chart to actually execute the trade, manage your risk, and that's all you have to do. Learn to spot the windows of opportunity and then execute the trade exactly as you're taught. You never want to risk more on a trade than the potential profit in the trade. Now, with a lot of alerts, there'll be $1,000, sometimes $2,000 of potential profit in the trade. However, if you only plan to take 2 points out of the S&P, well, then you shouldn't risk more than 2 points. If you're only going to take 10 ticks out of crude or 10 ticks out of gold, then that's the maximum you should risk. So either you're going to trade for your goal every day, which is $100 per contract, no matter which of the markets you're trading. 2 points in the S&P, 2 points in the Russell, that's $100. 20 points in the Dow, it's $100. 10 ticks in crude, 10 ticks in gold, $100. Silver pays $100 for 2 pennies of movement. Gold pays $100 for $1 of movement in price. Now, when crude moves $1, that's worth $1,000. When silver moves $1, that's worth $5,000 per contract traded. When we go to my charts here in a minute, you'll see that I've drawn a line in the sand at 40.32 and a line in the sand at 39.83. I did that last night at 6:15 p.m. Eastern. Now you can make your lines look like mine, or you can make them look any way you want. But the visual cue that they provide is critical. People always ask, how long will it take me to learn? Well, people learn at different speeds, but it depends upon how much work you're willing to do. Showing up's a big part of it. Yeah, just show up. Just show up. Listen and ask lots of questions. If you do that, it will take you less time to learn the methodology and strategy than if you just sit there quietly and attempt to absorb everything through osmosis. That won't happen. It's far better to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA number. Once price trades above or below a CTA number, it will most likely trigger multiple times. So you can wait for price to get to the target and then enter the market. Once price trades through a CTA number, it will again often trigger multiple times. Some days it's twice, some days it's 10 times. Just depends upon the day. Why is that? Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Now, if you're on the trial or a member, you had access to these numbers last night at 6:15. If you're not a member and not on a trial, then take a moment and grab a screenshot, because we're going to go through each and every one of these markets one by one and talk about exactly what happened. But before we do that, I've got ten things you need to know today. Got your screenshot? All right. Let's pull this out of the way. Number one, the White House said yesterday it couldn't provide visitor logs for President Biden's residence in Wilmington, Delaware, as requested by House Republicans, because the government doesn't maintain visitor logs for officials' personal homes. Like every president in decades of modern history, his personal residence is personal. White House counsel's office spokesman said in a statement to Fox News, Sams noted that Biden restored the norm of keeping White House visitor logs after the previous administration ended them. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer on Sunday sent a letter to White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain requesting visitor logs after small sets of documents with classified markings were found at Biden's residence and an office he used after serving as vice president. Was there a pre-dawn raid? No. Were there people in SWAT gear? No. Of course not. That article courtesy of NBC News. From the Associated Press, the Reverend Bernice King, daughter of slain civil rights icon Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., said Monday that she is exhausted, exasperated, and frankly disappointed to hear politicians repeat her father's words but not set aside politics to end police brutality and voter suppression. You hear about that a lot, voter suppression. Well, to drive a car, you need a driver's license. You have to prove who you are. Go into a store, buy tobacco products, or go into a bar and order alcohol. You're supposed to show proof of who you are. If a police officer pulls you over, what's the first thing they ask you for? License and registration. So the fact that we request voters to prove who they say they are before casting a very important ballot, that's suppression, according to the Reverend Bernice King. She went on to say, we love to quote King in and around the holiday, but then we refuse to live King 365 days of the year. She spoke at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where her father was once a pastor, on the holiday honoring the slain leader and marking his birthday. The service was one of the high-profile events honoring King on the 38th Federal King holiday, celebrating what would have been his 94th birthday, on the Associated Press. And now number 3 from the New York Times. China's population declined last year for the first time since the 1960s, signaling that start of a demographic crisis that will have consequences not just for China and its economy, but for the world. According to the New York Times, China's government on Tuesday reported 9.6 million births in 2022 and 10.4 million deaths. China's declining birth rate is now considered irreversible, speeding the country toward the day when it will not have enough people of working age to fuel the high-speed growth that made it an engine of the global economy. By 2035, China will have 400 million people over the age of 60, nearly a third of its population, raising the threat of labor shortages. Well, I guess the good news is they have all these, and I feel sorry for them, They have all these people over there imprisoned as a labor force. I remember for a long time China had the one-child policy. Bad things happened if you had a second child. Over the last few years, China has actually incentivized parents to have more than one child. Because one of their economists finally got their head on straight and understood what the one-child policy had done and how it was going to ultimately affect their workforce and the world. Number 4, AP. Search crews on Monday recovered the flight data and cockpit voice recorders of a passenger plane that crashed in Nepal, killing at least 69 of the 72 people aboard. The disaster, which occurred in the foothills of the Himalayas, was the country's deadliest plane crash in 3 decades. Rescuers continued to sift through the debris, but access was difficult as the plane plummeted to the ground in a 984-foot deep gorge. The Sunday flight was headed to Pokhara, a city that is popular with tourists because it serves as the gateway to the Annapurna Circuit hiking trail. A witness said the plane, which was less than a minute from the airport, appeared to be landing normally when it suddenly veered left and plummeted. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of those 69 lost. Number 5, Washington Post. Embattled freshman Representative George Santos, who has acknowledged making up much of his resume, has deeper ties than previously known to the cousin of sanctioned Russian billionaire Viktor Vekselberg. The Washington Post reported Monday, citing video footage and court documents. Andrew Trader, a cousin of Vekselberg, and his wife gave $5,800, the maximum allowed, to Santos' main campaign committee. The couple also donated even more to committees linked to Santos since 2020. A Security and Exchange Commission filing in a lawsuit against Florida-based investment firm Harbor City Capital, where Santos once worked, shows that Trader put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the firm. Somebody might have an axe to grind. But I mean, the guy's already admitted he lied, so why don't we waste a lot of taxpayer? Why don't we waste Congress's time and taxpayer money? The guy already said it, I lied. Number 6 from Reuters. The death toll from a Russian missile strike on an apartment building in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro continued to rise Monday, reaching 40, with dozens of other people still missing. It's the deadliest single attack yet in Russia's 3-month series of missile and drone attacks targeting Ukraine cities far from the front lines. Ukraine has labeled the strikes against civilians as terrorism and cited them to justify pleas for more weapons from Western allies as it continues to fight invading Russian forces. Hopes have faded that more of the missing will be found alive in the rubble. But Ukrainian President Zelensky said rescuers would keep working as long as there is even the slightest chance to save lives. Of course, Russia denies that they were trying to bomb this apartment building. They say they had another target, but when Ukraine attempted to shoot their missile out of the air with their missile defense system, that's what caused the Russian missile to strike all those civilians. Number 7 from the LA Times, a 6-month-old baby. Her 17-year-old mother and 4 others were killed Monday in Goshen, California, in what law enforcement officials believe was an attack by a drug cartel. Tulare County Sheriff Mike Bordeaux told the LA Times the level of violence. This was not your run-of-the-mill, low-end gang member. The baby was found cradled in the arms of her mother. Law enforcement officials said both had been shot in the head. An elderly woman and 3 men were also killed. Authorities said the massacre could be linked to a narcotics-related search warrant carried out at the residence last week. A man was arrested, and it is not clear whether he was one of the victims found Monday. That's so horrific. My prayers are with them. Number 8, the LA Times. About 8 million people remained under flood watches in California through Monday evening as the latest atmospheric river storm hit the already drenched state with more torrential rain and violent winds. California has seen more than 400 landslides in a series of storms since December 30th, according to the California Geological Survey. At least 19 people have died as the storms destroyed homes and inundated entire neighborhoods. The state is expected to get a break later in the week. As we push into the day on Tuesday, we're looking for a quieter weather system across much of the state, with one fast-moving additional system arriving later Wednesday into early Thursday. Number 9, from the Albuquerque Journal. Albuquerque police on Monday arrested an unsuccessful Republican State House candidate, Solomon Pena, who is accused of being the mastermind behind shootings at the homes of 4 Democratic elected officials in December and January. Nobody was injured in the incidents. Pena lost November's State House District 14 race, proclaimed on social media that the election was stolen from him. He went unannounced to 3 of the elected officials' homes in November, saying the election results shouldn't be certified. Pena is accused of hiring 4 men and conspiring to have them shoot at the homes of 2 county commissioners and 2 state legislators. That comment is from Police Chief Harold Medina. Number 10, from the Associated Press. Legendary Italian film star Gina Lollobrigida died in Rome on Monday. She was 95. Her agent confirmed Gina's death without indicating the cause. She broke a thigh in a fall and had surgery to repair it in September. She was long referred to as the most beautiful woman in the world, after the title of one of her films. She starred in The World's Most Beautiful Woman in 1955. Other notable roles came in Golden Globe winner come September with Rock Hudson, 1953's Beat the Devil, a John Huston film, also starring Humphrey Bogart and Jennifer Jones, and also Buenos Aires, Mrs. Campbell, for which she won Italy's Top Movie Award. David D. Donatello as Best Actress in 1969. Let's go to the charts. Okay, pretty clear. Where's price? Sitting right on top of support. Where's potential resistance? Right there. Where's the next potential resistance? Right there. Then the 50% reverse fib. And then the high of December 14th. And then the high of December 13th. Where is support? Low of the day, 24% fib extension. The 38% reverse fib, and the daily BBC are right there. So that's major support times 2. We then have potential support at the 38% fib extension. We have potential support at the low of January 6th. And then we have potential support at the 24% reverse fib and also the low of December 22nd. And then we have potential support at the 50% fib extension. I posted this chart in the discussion group, both in the Passport Holders Only group and also in the trial discussion group. You can print that out and stick it on the wall. Because those inflection points won't change. Price will ultimately overcome them one by one. But this previous price action is carved in stone. The green line is called the BBC. Stands for bull, bear, cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish. We anticipate higher prices. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and anticipate lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices, higher prices, lower prices. The accompanying red and blue line, it's called the CFMA1, but I refer to it as simply blue and climbing, red and falling. One is bullish, the other bearish. So, price will always get below the BBC first. Then you want to see blue and climbing turn to red and falling. And when red and falling turns to blue and climbing, and price moves above the BBC, you've already got everything you need in place for a long trade. Pull back to the BBC holds more often than not. Now, everything I just said applies not only to the ES daily chart, it applies to every market and every time frame. Remember, our strategy and our indicators, no matter what market you put them on, no matter what stock or crypto or forex pair, whether you run in a 1-minute chart or a monthly chart, everything stays the same. This is why it's so important, if you're on the trial, that you get the platform downloaded, the indicators up and running, so that you don't have to just take my word for it, but you actually get to see it yourself on your own desktop, live in real time. So outside of the areas already highlighted, we know the high of the session is potential resistance, and we know the low of the session is potential support. Beyond that, everything's labeled, and it is in the discussion group. So if you're on the trial and you've not downloaded Telegram, go to telegram.org, put it on your phone, put it on your desktop. Otherwise, you'll have no clue what's going on the other 22 hours of the day. You'll only see what goes on in the live training room for 2 hours. So if you want to make the most of your trial, if you want to be able to rub shoulders with our successful traders and ask questions, then you need to go to telegram.org. It's free to download. There's no cost whatsoever. It's fast, it's safe, it's secure. And we probably have 10 different channels. And depending upon where you're at with CFRN, you'll have access to different channels. Once you become a passport holder, you'll have access to every channel. Okay, 30-minute chart. This is our roadmap. This tells me whether I want to be long, want to be short, or do nothing. The vertical line separates today, Tuesday, and then this takes us back to Monday, which was a short day, and then back here is Friday the 13th. So at 6:15, this is where the market opened. Now, price ran right up to red and falling, which we know is bearish. And so that puts some downward pressure on the market. The zones are last week's zones. Because of the holiday, this week's zones, instead of coming out yesterday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, whenever there's a Monday holiday, they come out Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On tomorrow's afternoon broadcast, the new weekly trading zones will be on my chart. So price hugged red and falling until red and falling turned to blue and climbing, and then we had a bullish cross, and then price made a run right up to the target at 40.32. As I had mentioned earlier, you can make your lines in the sand look any way you want, but this is how mine look. 40.32, 39.83. Okay. So is price attempting to, now price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. If price is below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. If price is above the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone overhead. There was opportunity to get your goal on the short side last night, and lots of opportunity to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA target. We put in a high on a session at 40.35 1/4. Price pulled back to the BBC and consolidated. Currently, price is trapped between support at the BBC and resistance at red and falling. What should a person do? Well, price has to get above red and falling. So 40.22 to 40.27. That's 5 points right there. $250 per contract traded. You can be as aggressive or as conservative as you want to be. You only need 2 points a day. Want to be a little more aggressive? And 40.21 to 40.27. 6 points. Entirely up to you. I always tend to be more conservative. If your thoughts are on how much can I make, You should change those. To how much money can I not lose? 9 out of 10 new traders lose all their money before they ever learn how to trade. That's why when you become a passport holder, you don't start trading real money right away. If you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme, we're not it. Go buy a lottery ticket. You're going to receive, as a passport holder, the 2420 blueprint. Your first set of instructions tells you need to put together 10 consecutive days in a row in sim, where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less before you even think about trading real money. You need to convince yourself that you understand the methodology and strategy. Otherwise, when you go live, you're going to fall apart. Okay? And then you go back to sim. And that's not a walk of shame. It's a smart business decision. Many traders go from sim to live, back to sim, back to live. Once you go live, anytime you have 2 consecutive days in a row where you don't reach your goal in 10 trades or less, you should immediately come out of the live account. Go back to your demo account. Book a one-on-one mentoring session and allow one of us to help you see what happened and why. Because everything's based on logic, and there's always a reason. Now, when you get stopped out and don't understand why, that's a very painful experience. Far more mentally than financially. But when you understand completely what happened, and when you understand that getting stopped out is as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life, when you get stopped out, you won't even bat an eye. You'll just look for the next opportunity. There is no holy grail where you never get stopped out again. Professional traders waste 0 time and 0 resources searching for something that not only doesn't exist but can exist based on the laws of science, physics, and even God. Nobody knows what's going to happen next in the market. However, with our very simple strategy and our very simple set of indicators, you can always know what the next high probability move is. Over 233 weeks and over 13,200 alerts. Again, we've averaged 20% or less getting stopped out on any given week. Trading perfection was best defined by Mark Douglas in Trading in the Zone. It's not never getting stopped out, because that's not possible. Trading perfection is knowing what to do, when to do it, and then just doing it. Now, we know this is a window of opportunity, but first price has to take out red and falling, and take out this swing high. And then we know we should expect resistance here. And if we get through there, we should expect resistance here. It's purely logical. Now the new weekly zones are out. So all of our traders have the new zones on their charts. But the reason last week's zones are on my chart is because all the alerts sent out last night were based on last week's zones. The new zones didn't come out till this morning. On the Dow, here's where the market opened. Consolidated at the weekly zone for many hours. Only 3 things happen at a zone. The most common is this: consolidation. 70% of the time. The second most common is rejection. That's when the 30-minute candle closes and the only thing left touching the zone is the wick. The third and least likely, about 10% of the time, is the slice. That's when price slices through a zone like it's not even there. When that happens, this was a red candle all the way down. It then retraced to the zone it sliced through and continued in the direction of the slice. But now it's become consolidation. This is last week's zone, 340.50/55. Once price got below this zone, they got to go over the day there, all the way down. Once price traded through the number, from 240 down to 212 at $5 a point, it then got back above the number and did it again. The final trade to target on every logic alert and every concierge trade alert. On a short, it's the weekly zone below. On a long, it would be the weekly zone above. And so we came down to the target, got back above the number, came down again. Now we're consolidating at the final trade to target. On the Russell, kind of sideways. Once we were below the BBC and had red and falling, could you have grabbed a couple points? Got your goal for the day? Yeah. Once we got above the BBC and had blue and climbing, was there oodles? I think that's a technical term. Oodles of opportunity to get your goal for the day? Yeah. If you want to be really conservative, you could have waited for price to take out this swing high and got your goal for the day up here. We've not hit either target yet, and the Russell seems pretty content to just waddle sideways. Might have some movement in the final hour of trading today, from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, when there's no stocks trading, just futures, not a lot happens. It's usually a pretty quiet time. All right, we covered the S&P, the Dow, the Russell, and Q. Here's where the market opens. We got below the BBC. We've got red and falling. And then we get red and falling, turns to blue and climbing. It tells you that the market is transitioning to the other direction every time. And so we ran right up to the target, 11,674. We even traded through it to 685. This candle opened at 614 and ran to 674. It's $1,200 per contract traded. Crude oil. Here's where we opened last night. Price got above the BBC. Gave us a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement. That's how markets work. Leg, retrace, leg, retrace. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. We know eventually price will trade through the BBC. That's what keeps the markets fluid and tradable. And so we pull back to the BBC and it holds and it holds and it holds and off we go. And then once we get above this weekly zone, we make the run all the way up to the CTA target at 80.70. And we even traded above it up to 81.23. An entry on this candle. It opened at 80.42, So $280 to the target. If you chose to stay with it, $530 per contract traded. That's what the market made available. Now what's price doing? Consolidating at the weekly zone. Gold. Here's where the market opened. Price got below the BBC. There's red and falling, and boom. Down we go to the target. And then again. And then again. Then we get above the BBC. This is not a trigger you would take. You only go short when there's red and falling. Blue and climbing is when you want to go long. From 1917 to 1918, there's your goal for the day. Right there. From 1917 to 1918. Or you might have gotten along sooner. You might have gotten along here. Blue and climbing turns to red and falling, and again we come back down through the short trigger. Once price trades through a CTA number, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Silver. Here's where we open. Price ran up to the zone. When price moves up to the zone, we expect support. When price drops to the zone, or when price moves up to the zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to the zone, we expect support. A 2-penny move is worth $100. So once we definitively closed below the BBC, this candle opened at 24.34 and ran down to the target and then some at 24.28. And it pulled back, did it again, pulled back to the BBC and did it again, pulled back to the BBC, did it again, and then it continued to drop. Then it got back above the trigger, but you got blue and climbing right here representing support, so you don't want to trade that. Now that the BBC itself is below the CTA number, that's not even a part of the picture anymore. Okay, now you're just looking for opportunities to use what you learn in the live training room to find opportunities to be short the market. The euro. Here's where we open. We hit the long target, hit the short target, almost made it to the weekly zone. Price just might pull back up and trigger one more time. But there's lots of opportunity in either direction to get your goal for the day. And one last market. Bonds. The long CTA on bonds was 129.30. Hit the target. The short CTA was 129.05, so we hit the target in both directions. Two-sided action. That brings us back to the daily chart. Not much is going on. It's a pretty quiet day. To become a passport holder with access to everything we offer, Everything we do, everything we've ever done, and everything we do in the future. All you have to do is go to eminifuturestrading.com. Pay once, member for life. Lifetime access to the weekly zones, lifetime access to the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts. You own the indicator set for life. You have a lifetime of unlimited one-on-one mentoring sessions. You have around-the-clock support via Telegram. It's everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. 9 out of 10 new traders fail simply because they don't have a teacher. That's why we give you one, so you at least have a fighting chance. And it's not a one-way conversation in the live training room. People often say, gee, I hate to ask questions because I don't want to interrupt things. Your question is the reason we have the room. Imagine going to law school and trying to learn how to become a lawyer without asking any questions. Or a brain surgeon. Or a plumber. Or a pest control man. Or a barista. Whatever career choice you make, someone is going to have to teach you how to do the job. And the more questions you ask, the sooner you'll learn how to do the job. All right, let's wrap this Tuesday up with a good word for the day. Last week we talked a lot about meditation. We're going to continue with that topic. Joshua 1:8. You shall meditate on it day and night. Bible meditation has fallen out of favor. Why? Because we live in an instantaneous society and a preoccupied society. We have so much stuff coming at us from TV, mobile phones, emails, texts, snail mail, satellite links, cable news feeds, and podcasts that we hardly have a moment to react, much less reflect. Get real. You can't download spiritual maturity by hitting a few keys on a keyboard. That's why the scripture speaks so often about meditation. God, the author of the Bible, gave Joshua the formula for succeeding in your career and prospering in whatever you put your hand to. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. To succeed in life, you must do something. Do what? Meditate on God's Word. How often? Day and night. So what portion of Scripture were you thinking about this morning as you started your day? Or while driving to and from work? For that matter, when was the last time you consciously reflected on any Bible truth or principle? If you can't remember, start making some changes right away. Paul told Timothy in 1 Timothy 4:15, meditate on these things, give yourself entirely to them, that your progress may be evident to all. And here it is a few thousand years later, and that's still the rule. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.